Mafia!
Eagles Talk on A2D Radio. As always, we are brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs, and awesome seated rolls for your cheesesteaks that you're getting at places like chest steaks in Pennsauken, and also Mama's Meatballs over in also Pennsauken. I think they're all both Pennsauken. No, Merchantville is chest steak. So yeah, check them out. Baggio's Bread, excellent stuff. Make sure you get your 10% off your initial order. We are live, A2D Radio. It's your boy Chucks. It's Brinks, and it's PY. And of course, shortly we will be joined by Mr. Les Bowen. Gentlemen, how was your weekend?
It was good. Ready to talk some Eagles, ready to talk some running backs.
Yeah. PY?
I'm just here to listen to you this week.
Oh, stop it. You better have broad rankings, but it'll be fun. I hope it'll be fun. I'll try. I'll try not to get too touchy. You know,
no, you won't. Don't lie. You're a prickly porcupine this week, and that's okay.
That's what I am. But before we get into Eagles running backs and ranking them, let's get into our poll question, which is a little bit of a change up before we get into that. We're talking about the current state of the Eagles running back room. So the Eagles should have and still should upgraded their depth at running back this offseason. Agree or disagree? PY, let's go with you. What do you think? Do you like the state of our running back room and the depth that we have right now as is heading into the season? Or do you think we still need an upgrade? Do you think we need to add another body?
I mean, I actually like the running back room. I'm interested to see what they have in A.J. Dillon. I know you're not the biggest fan, but I think he's a solid complement to Saquon Barkley. Obviously, whatever Will Shipley is, we're going to find out and see what they think of him. Would I have liked to bring Kenny back? Obviously not at the money he was getting. But who else is out there? There was a report out today that Breece Hall might be available. Maybe you could go get him. That's interesting. But whoever is available is going to cost money, and it's most likely to be a second or third running back. And it's probably a price tag the Eagles aren't willing to pay. They went bargain shopping in certain spots, which is probably what they're banking on when it comes to A.J. Dillon. They're hoping that he can just be that Kenny G role. Take the ball when you need it, block every once in a while. Obviously, nobody's going to be what Kenny was as a blocker. That's not happening. He's probably not going to be the pass catcher that Kenny was either. But I think they're banking on the upside when it comes to A.J. Dillon. And with Will Shipley, I think they're just hoping that he takes that next step this year. Kind of like when Kenny G was. Every year was a nice developmental year for him. Every year he's on the team, he continued to get better and show you why he deserves to be a running back in the NFL. I think that's what they think with Shipley. Obviously, if I'm in favor of upgrading any position any way I can other than quarterback. If I can go out and I can make the team better, I'm okay with it. But where it stands right now with the running back position, A, I don't even know who would be available. B, I don't know who's out there. And C, I don't think the Eagles are willing to pay a premium for it. So I think as of right now, I think the running back room is solid. I think it's okay. I don't think it's anything special, but maybe it doesn't have to be. I think as long as you have Saquon Barkley and you have someone like an A.J. Dillon and a Will Shipley to kind of lighten the load every once in a while to where you don't need him to rush for 400 carries this season. I think that's exactly the way the Eagles designed the running back room to be.
All right, Brinks, what do you think?
I mean, it's okay. Should they have? They still can. It's probably going to be a trade. J.K. Dobbins was sitting out there for a long, long while. So was Nick Chubb. Obviously, some injury concerns with Nick Chubb about what he still got left after that horrific leg injury he had. But, I mean, J.K. went to Denver, and Nick Chubb went to
Texans.
The Texans. Thank you. I'm not an AJ. I'm not digging the AJ Dillon. I'm not sipping that Kool-Aid. At all, really. I mean, I'm trying to look for maybe he can do I just don't see how a plotter like that fits in, this high octane offense. But maybe they'll find a role for him and it'll be okay. I mean, Will Shipley. I mean, I liked him at Clemson, but he's starting games for you if Saquon can't go. God forbid. I don't know about that, but I mean, if they are going to upgrade, it's going to have to be one of these camp body swaps that absolutely no one can predict. So, I mean, should they have done a little better than AJ Dillon? Sure, but you also had a lot of guys leave, a lot of good guys leave, and you had to sure up the guys that you thought were fits for the long term. You had to take care of them. So running back kind of fell by the wayside. I was surprised they didn't draft someone, honestly. Didn't have to be like a day 1 or day 2 pick, obviously, but I was pretty surprised they didn't draft one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be fine. It's nothing that's going to bring down the team. We're not going to be sitting here in whatever 6, 7, 8 months. Oh my God! If the Eagles just upgraded that backup running back spot, they would have repeated. That's not that conversation's never going to happen. So I would have liked to have seen them draft someone. So I agree to the poll.
Yeah, I felt more in line with you, Brinks. I agree to the poll as well. I think they should have one way or another. When it comes to the draft, I think before the draft came, I had said the draft is deep. This running back class in the draft is deep. A lot of those mid-round grade prospects that solid. Maybe not a ton of high-end talent, but a lot of just solid, good running backs. You can plug on. You could have taken on day 3, and just upgraded your depth. I can't be too mad because seeing how they kept trading back and then seeing the draft picks they did get with especially the 2 offensive linemen. But I mean, I guess instead of one of those, you could have picked a running back if you're going to squabble. But it wasn't that huge of a deal. So even though I agree with you, Brinks, I think I would have liked to see them draft one. I can't get too upset over it. You know what I mean? Can't get too mad over it. I get people. I'm not the biggest AJ Dillon fan. I don't think he's that good. I think a lot of people get so intrigued with his size that they think he's a better running back than he is, and I don't think he is.
He's a guy with starts under his belt who, if Saquon goes down, you can at least have someone out there. That's what he is.
He's a poor man. He's a poor man's Ron Dane.
I guess you can, but the thing is, you don't get much out of it. He is a good blocker. I will say that, in pass protection. So I do like that about him, but I don't think he has great vision or feet for a running back. Is he a good complement to Shipley? Sure, but if Saquon has to miss any time, how confident are you in a backfield of Shipley and Dillon, just splitting time with each other? I won't say it's horrible, but I also won't say I love it. Again, I wish we would have drafted someone in terms of free agency. I would have loved to sign a guy like J.K. Dobbins to be just add veteran, just add in there and you can trust. I think J.K. Dobbins is better than AJ Dillon. Nick Chubb would have been, obviously you love Nick Chubb. You don't know how he's going to be 2 years removed from that.
I would have risked it. I would rather risk it on Nick Chubb than AJ Dillon.
Yeah, I agree with you there. To me, he didn't get that much money. So
AJ Dillon, what is he? He's just gonna run. He's just gonna either run you over and get 4 yards instead of 2 yards, or just get tackled right away.
He's the running back too. I don't really care what he does. To get yardage, that's all I care about.
Well, I mean, I'll say I think I am more intrigued out of Shipley than I am with Dillon. I think a lot of people are looking so much as like, oh, you need like a power runner. I don't think it's necessarily that. You just need
It's because
someone who
this
can
town
come
has
in.
a goddamn power runner fetish.
You need someone who is going to be able to do a lot of things if Saquon's not there.
Yeah.
So I think Shipley is the one, but like Shipley also had concerns with pass protection, and I guess that's where Dillon comes in. So it's tough to say. I also there are running backs that I would have liked them to sign over AJ Dillon that are still available. I don't think we're gonna sign them, but I like Jamal Williams. I like Gus Edwards a lot too. So I would have liked either one of those over AJ Dillon, but with AJ here, I don't see that becoming a thing. So it is what it is. I don't love this.
I mean,
room.
like all these people, like we got some comments that we're going to get to and keep them coming, but like we have all these people saying, "Oh, it's just a short yardage back." We have the most unstoppable short yardage play in the history of the league. Like they're trying to kick us. They're trying to make it so we can't do it anymore. So like, I don't really see the need to use AJ Dillon even in short yardage because I'll just run the tush push. I'll run the tush push twice.
Yeah,
I don't care. No one can
hear
stop
you.
it.
Yeah. I think with because Daly does says like Dillon won't be using short yardage, like you said, and blocking situations. Like I said, I do like Dillon in pass blocking situations. I like that he brings that now that Gainwell is gone, and if Saquon's not on the field, you have another back you can trust. So I understand. It doesn't scream to me as a backfield that can really produce a lot.
It's low
Even with
risk,
this
high
offensive
reward
line,
with him.
if Saquon's not on the field, I don't see this backfield really moving, doing anything like anything too well, I should say. Like
I'm more excited for
maybe they're
Ben
adequate.
Sumerin than I am for Dillon or Shipley right now.
Yeah.
What's the best case scenario for AJ Dillon this season?
Like stats wise?
Yeah. Like
400
snaps, stats,
400 yards, 4
yards.
touchdowns. I'll be happy.
A few touchdowns, yeah. Like
I'd like to see more of a game breaker.
Yeah,
it's running back 2. You're not getting a game breaker at running back 2.
Well, I think
what I mean, though.
I think he's talking about an.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's
I
talking
need a little
about
more explosiveness on my team.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Let's bring in Les to see what he thinks. Les, how are you?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
We're
doing
great,
well.
Les. Before we get to the rankings, we're talking a little bit about the current Eagles running back room and our confidence level in it. So, what do you think? Do you think the Eagles should have or still should upgrade their depth at running back? Or are you okay with where they are? No,
it's not something I feel real strongly about, Chucks. They could have done a little more, but they did a few things. I don't have a strong take on that. I don't feel like it's a critical problem. I'm trying to remember, other than Dillon, who's back there now.
Shipley.
We have Shipley.
Yeah, and he certainly showed that he's worth looking at a little more. I'm okay. You can always pick up a backup running back. You can't always pick up a really good running back, but you can always pick up a back. That's the one position, I think, other than kicker, where there's always somebody out there that can help you. It seems
Is Jordan Howard still out there?
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Somebody like that. So yeah, I'm not gonna.
They have a guy named. I don't know. They have some guy named Avery Williams listed as the 4th string running back.
Well, he's a punt returner.
He's a punt returner.
Yeah.
Didn't they sign like an undrafted guy who was supposed
to and I don't know too much about him, to be honest. Yeah. I didn't really study him, so I don't
we'll see.
Could be a camp body. No. They always have these camp bodies, obviously, so we'll see if any of them pan out. I mean, they don't have a good history of hanging on to and sticking with any of these UDFAs at running backs. You know what I mean? So
but every now and then there's a Chris Polk or a
Chris Polk. Oh, shoot.
Corey Clement, Jamal Adams.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Corey Clement. So we shall see how it goes, how it unfolds, and hopefully it doesn't get to the point where we need them to play a lot
Yes.
So yeah, let's hope that it doesn't get there. But all right, the main event. We're all here. Eagles running back rankings, top 10 since the year 2000. Similar. When I was doing it, it was similar to wide receiver, where I feel like, where is it, like 1 to like 6 ish? I'm like, okay,
It's gonna be
these guys-
so bad.
But
Yep.
then like after that, it's like, okay, it's you're picking nits. So
Chuck's
it
is
should
just
be
Chuck's
fun.
just gonna scream at us for the next 45 minutes about how stinky our list.
I
I'm
like
gonna
how you
try not to. I'm literally gonna
Yeah.
try not to.
You're gonna try. You're gonna try.
Do
I
you
believe
even
that,
want
but-
me to choose my picks? You just tell me who I should pick, and I'll pick them.
We'll
we
see how
need
we
your
get to. So
picks.
let's
No.
bring up the spreadsheet as always. Let me try. How does this feel? Hold on. Let's see.
Why don't you do Why don't you go through your list and then we'll chime in with ours?
Well, I like the format we've been doing it with. So like,
You're Mr. Running Back. You invented.
well, I
the position.
still want the discussion.
I'm just here to listen to Chucks. That's all I'm here for right now.
I still want the discussion. So let's go.
No,
through
you
it
don't.
And
Oh, where did this infatuation with the running back position come from?
so
Play running back? Did you like?
So when I was younger, no one ever actually, not a lot of people asked me that question actually. So when I was younger, probably like I was in grade school, when you're younger, you have you go outside at recess and you play you play pickup football with people.
Mhm.
And when we would play pickup football, I would be like the small quick one, right, who's elusive, and my friends would be like, yeah, you should just play running back when you play football. So like ever since then, I'm like, okay, like running back, like what is this position? So I always kind of had an eye on running backs. And then when I was younger, my earliest memories of football, watching NFL football, was two players that stuck out, was Jerry Rice and Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders, I watched him run and I was just like, this is art. Like this is like amazing to see a running back do this kind of stuff. This is like inhuman. But like I wasn't like a huge football fan. Like I just like kind of watched it. It wasn't until like 2000 when I started really watching football, and then shortly after, that's when Brian Westbrook was drafted by the Eagles in 2002. And Westbrook was a guy that I constantly heard because he played at Villanova. I heard him as the guy locally playing, setting records at Villanova. And then when the Eagles drafted him, I was just I loved the guy, and I thought he was going to be an awesome running back, and he was. And we'll see where I rank him amongst the Eagles greats. So that's kind of just where it was. Just when I was younger and watching Barry Sanders and then Brian Westbrook.
Yeah.
And
How old are you, Chucks?
How old am I right now?
Yeah.
39. Just turned 39.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that tracks.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Barry Sanders, the GOAT. Love Barry Sanders.
Right.
So all right. So top 10. We'll do this the same
Jesus.
thing. So we'll have Les with our guest be the lead point once again. So we'll go with his 10, and then we'll say if any of us has his guy, and then we'll fill in the blanks at all of our numbers as we go along. So if one of us still hasn't mentioned our 10 before we move on, we'll mention our 10 to fill in the blanks, and then get up to the top at number 1. So let's get this started. So Les, who is at your number 10?
I have number 10 for me is Jordan Howard.
Jordan,
my!
Mentioned.
Chuck's favorite player.
Oh God, stop.
Dude, he's a stud.
No,
Do
wasn't.
you have Jordan
Stop.
Howard?
Does
No, I
everybody else
do.
have him?
I don't.
Brinks. do you?
Yeah, I had Jordan Howard at number 9.
9.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
I did not have Jordan Howard.
Okay.
but
Now Chucks does not have Jordan Howard. This is
I do.
It's not less. There is nobody he hates more than
This
Jordan
is
Howard.
actually-
No, stop. So I don't hate Jordan Howard. Like it was never about Jordan Howard. It was all about Eagles fans going in a little bit too far with the Jordan Howard.
He's an amazing power
Yeah,
back.
I don't
yeah.
think.
Okay. Well, he was a good player, and the
Mhm.
team wasn't that good when he was here.
It's fine.
Les,
I
why
like
why
it.
didn't he
Good guy.
stick anywhere?
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Like, why didn't he stick anywhere? Do you think?
Just
Yeah,
kept
I
getting
don't know.
hurt.
That's a real good question. I think he was one of those guys that you always wanted him to be a little more than he was. Maybe that he's like a lot of other backs, and he wasn't great as a receiver or anything. He didn't have a
It's true.
He was just kind of a guy, but a reliable guy, I thought.
Yeah. I think he was a solid running back when he got him. Here's my thing with Jordan Howard. When he was with Chicago, he had an amazing rookie year, but then he kind of his limit as a player kind of became exposed, and they even drafted Tariq Cohen because Cohen could do more than what Jordan Howard was. He was Howard
was kind of the same, and not physically, but Cohen had the big rookie year. They seem to do that in Chicago. Big rookie year, and then was he really a great player? No,
No, I think when we traded for him, I kind of got annoyed because there were too many fans who thought that Howard is going to be like the Eagles running back.
He should start over Miles Sanders.
Yeah, there was all that talk about.
He should have started over Miles Sanders.
He's still in the corner.
We'll get into that, but like
making yourself sound so stupid.
It was more so just the people fans going overboard and me trying to just calm people down.
You. Yeah, all right.
But Howard was a solid running back, and I liked what he was. You know what I mean? He was. In terms of a no-nonsense, just get what's there kind of running back who puts his pads down and gets and moves the chains. Howard was really good at that, and I think that was a really good. When he was here, I always was saying that you need to get more 21 personnel plays with him and Miles on the field together because they do well because they complement each other well. And I liked that Miles was the explosive guy while Howard was the power guy. And I felt like Doug Peterson didn't do as much as he should have with those two in the backfield. So I never hated Jordan Howard. I hated the hype.
All right.
Not Jordan Howard. That's where it was. He would have been he's my 11. He doesn't make my 10. I think it's like that last part of like the rankings is there's a bunch of guys that I just kind of.
I have 8 guys that I really wanted in there somewhere, and then the last 2 spots were kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, you just throw
Terrell Buckhalter, Jordan Howard,
stuff like that. Yeah, PY, who's your 10?
I had LeGarrette Blount.
Okay.
Well, solid in the had a good regular season. Was explosive in the playoffs. Was beast moding it all over the place. I had trouble finding my 10th guy. Yeah, and I'm like, I love LeGarrette Blount. When you look up his Wikipedia, when you look him up in Google, he's still in an Eagles jersey, so that makes me smile.
Oh, and he loves. Yeah, he always says he's been saying that he still loves the fan base and the franchise. So
should have brought him back then in 2018.
Yeah.
Brinks, do you have LeGarrette Blount?
Yeah.
6.
6.
Hold on.
Okay, it's all right.
I have him.
I understand it was just 1 year.
That's the problem, LeGarrette Blount's probably one of the top 5 running backs who have played for the Eagles during the time that you were talking about, but he didn't spend much of his career here.
Yeah, it was 1 year. Yeah, Les, do you have Blount?
What's that?
Do I
have Blount? Well, I was looking for a ruling from the court here. What I wanted to do a PY and do something crazy. What I wanted to do is number 9 would be an Ajayi Blount combo.
I'll accept it. I will.
Sure, why not?
Absolutely,
we'll give you that.
And Ajayi has even less business going on here than Blount, but I love the guy. I thought he was
so fun.
He was tremendous. He was the one who came up with the "nobody likes us, we don't care" thing.
Really?
And he ran. I mean, he ran fearlessly. He was just, and it cost him. I mean, he already came into the NFL with a knee that was never going to last, and it didn't. And he didn't care.
No. I always wonder what that 2018 season would look like if he doesn't get hurt. Because one of the biggest issues that year is we had no running game.
No running back.
Right.
Yep. Right. 100%.
Wasn't that the year Adams led them in running?
Yeah.
Maybe him and Josh Adams are not an awful duo.
God.
Yeah, I doubt Josh Adams is not on my list. I
didn't think so.
Do you have Jay Ajayi?
I don't have Jay Ajayi.
Huh?
Crazy. I don't have Jay Ajayi.
What?
He's just outside.
Oh, come on. All right. Brinks, do you have Jay Ajayi?
Jay Ajayi. That's a no.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, come on. All right. So Jay Ajayi Okay, if we're gonna put LeGarrette Blount, now I'm gonna say this. If we're gonna put LeGarrette Blount on the top 10, I don't know how you don't put Ajayi. Ajayi came in. We traded for.
Because what do you mean?
We
Well,
traded.
my point was
traded
they're a unit. I mean,
they're
together they were about as effective as, I mean, outside of like Saquon and Shady, the two of them together were about as effective as I've seen Eagles running backs be.
Do you remember when LeGarrette Blount trucked that Viking in the championship game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely obliterated him into the 10 yards into the end zone and scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean they worked well. We have to remember that the Eagles traded for Ajayi because Blount couldn't handle Blount. They couldn't expect him to handle everything by himself, right? They needed a part, and they needed someone with a little bit more explosiveness. Now Ajayi isn't fast, but if you're talking about just acceleration, Ajayi had. Because remember, Ajayi has a soccer background. So his footwork and his acceleration were really good for a.
And that was a trade deadline deal.
Yeah, it was a trade deadline.
It was real dramatic. But that was a big part of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
It was. That's why I'm saying
that was a big splash. I remember that day.
I have an issue. This is my first issue with the list. Is not you're going to rank Blount, but you're not going to have a giant who was.
He was like 11.
Yeah, I thought I was doing something really weird.
No,
apparently Chuck agrees with me here.
I am going because when Ajayi came in, once he got his feet wet, right, and learned the playbook, he was the starter over Blount. Jay Ajayi was the one that was here another year outside of LeGarrette Blount.
I understand
so they go hand in hand. Like Ajayi was technically the starting running back in the playoffs for the Eagles. So I don't understand how you don't have one or the other.
Fine, and give me a double dip like less than.
You want to do double dip? All right, I'll allow it. I will allow it. So
I'm not happy.
Double dip and put both.
LeGarrette Blount.
PY is just going to be.
Can I go home?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Brinks, who do you have 10?
Jeez.
Boston Scott, the Giant Killer.
Sure, that's fine.
Wait, no. PY, do you have a 10?
It's fine.
I had a 10. I had LeGarrette Blount.
10 is. Did you put? Hold on. Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, Brinks, who did you have at 10? Sorry.
Boston Scott.
10 is your Boston Scott. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have Boston Scott at 9.
You have Boston Scott at 9. Les, did you have Boston Scott?
I have Boston Scott at 8.
At 8, nice.
But he's kind of interchangeable with my 7. I don't feel strongly about the either.
That's a good portion of this list.
Yeah. Yes, I have Boston Scott at. To me, he was interchangeable with 10, but I have him at 9. So, yeah, I
really like that guy. What a good person.
Yep.
Guy that really made a career for himself.
Against one team.
Have great gifts, but has gotten a lot out of what he had.
Yeah. Another gift from the Saints.
Yeah.
Yes, another gift from the Saints.
I like our farm system. It's ridiculous.
It's funny. Yeah, Boston Scott, I liked him coming out of the draft. I remember when the Saints had him and then we claimed him. And I was like, oh my God, I'm excited for the next year. And he turned out to be so just fun. Just so much fun. I'm someone who, because I spent a lot of years up in the North Jersey area because I went to school at Rutgers, New Brunswick. So I had to deal with a lot of Giants fans. So the fact that he was Giant Killer 2.0, I was like, he's
the worst.
So
Giants fans are the worst.
They're so bad.
The worst.
They're so bad. So yeah, I love me some Boston Scott. 10 for me was Carell Buckhalter. Yeah, I love me some Buckhalter. I met him in person at a 97.5 draft event, and he was so nice. And I can't, I remember the B West days obviously vividly, but I can't remember B West without Buckhalter because he was for many of those years he was the backup, right? He was the running back too with B West when he was healthy.
Had that upright running style, but he made it work, man.
He made it work. Les, did you have Buck anywhere?
I didn't. I thought about it. I again, either him or Jordan Howard would have been my 10.
Interchangeable.
I went with Howard. I didn't really feel strongly either way.
Mhm.
I liked Buck a lot. He had an old, I think it was an Oldsmobile, like a mid-'60s Oldsmobile convertible and it was a beautifully restored, and it had these leather seats with his uniform number on the on the seat back, 28 there in big stitched in big letters. Probably hurt the resale value somewhat. I don't know. You could probably speak to that better than I.
That is so true. Oh, Brett Eclipse says, I'll never forget that mic'd up clip where Jay breaks for a huge run but gets caught short of the end zone against the Cowboys, and then they just started flaming him on the sidelines. Yeah, it was Kenyon Barner that was making fun of him, saying
another Eagles great.
Kenyon Barner.
Oh my God, Kenyon Barner. And then he also said Boston Scott would be the greatest running back in franchise history if we played the Giants every year.
Yeah, true.
He was awesome.
True.
I don't know what it was about him. PY, did you have Buck Halter anywhere?
I had him at 7.
Okay.
Buck at 7. Wow. Okay.
I don't mind it. I mean, we're at the bottom of the list. So
I know.
Yeah. I don't mind.
I have him number 7 too.
So
I'm feeling bad for leaving Buck out. I'm sorry, Buck, if you're out there.
He just got hurt.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, that was my first the first OTA I covered in 2002. Buck crumples and their trainers run over and everything, and Deuce Staley is like pounding his fist on the turf. I'm like, damn, these OTAs really something.
Yeah, 2002. Oh my God,
22 touchdowns, 3,000 total yards, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
PY, who's at your 8 then?
My 8, Kenny G, baby.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Just hold on. Just breathe. It's okay. It's okay.
No, that's fine. I didn't.
Are you sure? Because you don't look fine.
No, it's just I know where this conversation is going to go. Brinks, do you have Gainwell anywhere?
Who?
Gainwell.
Kenny Gainwell? No, I don't.
Les, do you have Kenny Gainwell?
I have him at 7, actually. As a playoff performer, he really, I thought, did some good things. Was he really a great Eagle? No, but I liked him. Him.
Yeah, solid running back, very solid running back. Yeah, another one where people kind of try to just push him to be something that he wasn't.
Yeah,
whereas after 20,
he gave you these little tantalizing. There were times when it looked like he could be more than he was, but he did not.
Yeah, I remember I was during that draft when that year he was drafted, it was 2020, and he was one of he was one of the prospects I liked a lot because I thought he was a really good dual threat guy, good receiver, and I had like a late day 3 grade on him, and he wasn't taken until he wasn't taken in round 5, and then I was telling people here at A2D, I was like, oh my God, I want Gainwell to be drafted. And then someone texted me, he's like, Gainwell just got drafted. And there is, if you look it up on A2D's YouTube channel, there is still my reaction video on A2D of me being really excited about Gainwell being drafted. So I loved that pick. And I wish him well in the Steelers. I hope that's a crowded backfield right now with the Steelers, but I hope he's able to.
Steelers are a team that ends up with a lot of ex-Eagles. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that. Yeah. Deuce went to Steelers. I think, that was a long time ago, but I think with Andy Weidel there, I think current, more recent ex-Eagles also.
Yeah. Brinks, who do you have at 8? You got that hold of Phil.
Oh, Miles Sanders. I gave him the
you
grace
did
of being in my 8
Miles.
You Brinks. What?
Hey!
Last week talking about how you're not gonna have him on here.
Well, you have to
no. You're
no matter how much I hate him. No. Yeah, respect the process. You have to respect the process, and even if you don't like someone,
you punk out.
You gotta put them where they did. I mean,
I would have respected you more if you stuck to your guns.
PY, give me. PY, where did you have Miles at?
I have him at 4.
Okay.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Really? Because since
I have
2000,
Miles
he's the
Sanders at
third most
4 as well.
rushing touchdowns and third most yards.
In terms of his accomplishments, that's kind of where he ranks, I think.
Yeah.
Whether you really liked him I could take him or leave him kind of, but he gained a lot of yards here. I put him at 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I have him at 5 because it was a toss up between him and someone else at 4. But that's the range I had him at. Is
so a total of 4,000 yards and 23 touchdowns. Like that's third. That's third most rushing yards, third most touchdowns since 2000.
Dude, I picked him.
You can say whatever you want, but like the numbers don't lie.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, we all know why Brink has him that low.
I just can't stand.
Does he owe Rob money?
Brink just doesn't like him. He just doesn't like him.
He's always fumble. Like, oh my god, he just gets blown up because he went to Penn State.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, he only did good. He only did good because he had the offensive line. He didn't do anything anywhere else.
He did.
He hasn't really been anywhere other than Carolina, really. I mean, that was kind of a tough gig down there.
And he got benched. Yeah. The big free agent signing got benched.
Yeah.
This is just like the worst offensive lineman group in the league.
Great player, let me tell you.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. His career's not over. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's with the Cowboys. I hope he doesn't do too well with the Cowboys.
Good point.
But I think with Miles, I'll say this about Miles. Everyone knows that like I was a big Miles fan when he was, during that draft. I stuck by. There's not many Eagles running backs in recent history that I've followed as closely as Miles. Watch every single snap of his and dissected it. I think Miles isn't as good as we wanted him to be. I will absolutely admit that. Like he didn't meet my expectations. But I also don't think he's as bad as a lot of fans make him out to be. I think Miles is just a solid. He was a solid running back. He did love it here, and he wanted to stay, but he went to Carolina, and I think that, and this is something that a lot of like scouts and running back coaches I've heard speak on is like if you look at running backs who go leave in free agency for their second contract and go to another team, there's a lot of misses because you need a lot of synchronicity from running back to O-line. And when there's that dip in talent in O-line, like it's hard to really find a rhythm. And I think that was really, really, it hit hard for Miles where he improved every single year with his vision. One of the biggest things early on in his career is that he would bounce everything, right? But every single year he did improve. He got better at it. And he was a big part of it is because he was able to trust this O-line, which was amazing. Mm-hmm. But you go to Carolina, which didn't have a really good O-line when he got there, and they were in disarray. Reich wasn't really the guy there that they'd hoped to be, and he was like one and done. He struggled to find his footing, and he digressed. He regressed, and it is what it is. He absolutely regressed. He wasn't the same as he was here, but I won't say that he was bad here. Like in 2022, he was good. He was really good.
Pro Bowl running back.
Yeah, he was really good. So
I agree.
Yeah. I think he gets a bad rap, but he deserves still recognition. He was far from bad. So, and you know what's really funny too? If Eagles fans actually took the time to pay attention, you know how people always said he was a horrible receiver, had horrible hands. He actually caught a lot of really.
He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at that stuff.
He caught a lot of passes with the Panthers, and a lot of them were deep shots down the sideline. They weren't dink and dunk things. He was actually showing out as a receiver in Carolina, which I thought was pretty ironic, considering I've always said he's a better receiver than people give him credit for. But people always wanted to criticize him for having bad hands, but it is what it is. But I have him 5, 4.
The people said he had bad hands because he fumbled.
No, people still said he couldn't catch. There was a narrative coming out of going into 2022 where people said he couldn't catch. And I was like, this is this narrative is so overblown. So
would never throw him the ball if he fumbled that much.
that's fine. But also, like, he did tone down the fumbles, I think, in 2022. So, like, I think he only had 2 fumbles in the regular season that year. So,
Fumbled on Christmas.
Okay.
Okay.
You picked one of the 2 days.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to 6. Les, who's at your 6?
6, I have Deuce Staley.
Deuce.
Now, in terms of his career as an Eagle, you might think he would rank higher than 6. But the problem here is our delineation. 2 of Deuce's 1,000-yard seasons were in the 90s. So you can't really count those toward what he did in the 2000s. And really, he didn't do a whole lot here in the 2000s. He was gone pretty quick. But still a seminal figure for me. Real big part of the Andy Reid era. And then, of course, he was the running backs coach for many years.
Yeah.
Tremendous receiver. Early on in my tenure with covering the Eagles, it was really funny talking to Deuce. He was one of those guys in those days who hated the West Coast offense.
Oh,
to carry the ball 300 times a year. And throwing it to him, he didn't really like that. He didn't enjoy it. He was from he was from the 90s, and he was a running back, and he wanted to run. Now, as a coach, of course, he was completely different. But as a player, he hated it. He really didn't want to do it. And they it was like the only way they were going to get the ball, is if we throw it to you.
Yeah.
So because Andy wasn't going to, really lean on the run. And, it was really funny how that went. And it's a shame Deuce really didn't, after he left, he was with the Steelers when they went to the Super Bowl, but he was inactive for the game. Yeah. I'm sure he got a ring, but still, it wasn't. He's a guy that you would think if there was justice, he would have a ring as an Eagle, and I guess as an Eagles coach he did, but not as a player.
Yeah. PY, did you have Deuce ranked? Where'd you have Deuce ranked?
Yeah, in 5.
5. Okay. Brinks, where'd you have him?
4.
Okay. Staley brings it to 4. Yeah. I had him at 4 as well. And you did make a good point that a chunk of his yards did come in the 90s. So like
I would have had him at 4, taking his entire Eagles career.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I think I was kind of just I was looking at him as a player too, and just being like he's too good for me to put any lower. So I put him at 4. But I hear you. I definitely hear you with the stats. So that's what depends on how you look at it. But I love Deuce, the way he played, the way he coached. Maybe that's part of it. Do you have? I mean, like, Les, I don't know. Like, it's a little bit of a tangent, but do you have an insight to how he was here as a coach? He was beloved here as a running back coach.
Yeah.
But I know there's that whole thing about him never getting a real opportunity to be like the next in line for a head coach, and then like him taking that like lateral move. I don't know if you have any insight to like his coaching regime here.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing I always liked about him as a coach is Deuce wouldn't put you on the field if you couldn't pick up a blitz. And that was just bottom line. He wasn't going to get the quarterback killed with one of the guys from his room. If you weren't interested in blocking, you weren't going to play, no matter how good you were. And I respected that a great deal.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think they saw him as a head coach type person, and he isn't. I mean, he's been gone for several years, and he's not a head coach. And we can talk about the difficulties African Americans have had in getting head coaching opportunities, but Deuce just hasn't. I don't know.
He's just not qualified. I think we can all say like we like Deuce Staley, but like when it was discussing of like, oh, we should just hire Deuce Staley to be the head coach over Sirianni, and media was picking that up, like it's been proven right. Like Deuce Staley's a great running backs coach, but not everyone is meant to be a head coach.
I would like to see him get a real shot as an offensive coordinator somewhere, because he gets all these titles.
I think he'd be very good at that.
Head coach or those titles don't really mean anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're either running the offense or you're not.
Yeah.
And I really think he needed that. And if he could have gotten that, and maybe he still will somewhere. I don't even know what he's doing. Where is he now anyway?
That's a good question. I forget where he's at. So, yeah.
But
very good question.
I liked the guy a lot. I thought he was a tremendous player. It was really interesting that he ended up being a coach here because his departure from here, the last few years here were very acrimonious. There was a thing I mentioned about him not really liking the West Coast offense.
Yeah.
And there was money. And he really fought with them over money. I mean, he was really not happy. He held out a training camp one year.
Thank Joe Jenner.
Yeah. He really fought with them over money and then became a long-term part of the organization after he retired.
Yeah. So I know that Brian Westbrook has always said that he took pass protection seriously because of Deuce.
Yeah.
He always tells that story. It's because of Deuce he really developed that part of his game, and it was a huge part of B. West's game, being able to be that complete back that, and he owes that part of it to Deuce. So I love that you bring that up, Les. His pass protection.
He's in Cleveland, by the way. He's the running backs coach in Cleveland.
There you go.
He's in Cleveland. Okay.
Have fun with that group.
He was.
That's a good group, though. That's a good group.
Right,
PY,
young
who's
kid.
at your 6? Filling in the blanks here.
What?
Who's at your 6?
Oh, it's Sproles.
Darren Sproles. Les, do you have Darren Sproles?
Yeah, we're kind of these are all spoiler alerts. You mentioned Sproles. Sproles is my 5.
Right, good. All right, Brink, do you have him?
Yeah, 5 for Sproles.
5. I have him at 6. So yeah, we have kind of all of that. Yeah, in the same vicinity with Sproles. I wish I could have put Sproles higher because if this was like fan favorite, Sproles would probably
be higher.
4 or 3. I'd argue for me it'd be like number 3. I love Sproles and what he did. I
loved him, but he
lot.
didn't really do that much.
No.
As an Eagle.
He played like 8 games over like a final 3-year period. Like it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Got hurt a lot,
My
unfortunately.
favorite thing about the Sproles is he'd get hurt. The first week they'd give him like 20 touches. He'd be out for like 12 weeks, and then when he comes back, all right, we're gonna ease him in. Nope. Eight rushes to start, and then like 6 passes, and he's hurt again.
I think it speaks volumes to how much they trusted him, though. Like he's, being able to do everything, as a returner.
Guy's electric too. He was
Really good player. Yeah,
really good player, and I believe he's still with the organization now, or in some capacity. I forget.
I don't know. I don't
remember what he's doing. I could look it up, but yeah, he's such a good, and I loved him even when he was in with the Chargers.
New Orleans.
Yeah, the Chargers when he first started.
Oh, before okay,
backing up LT, and he was this 5'6" guy, and you guys know me. Like I usually cheer for like the short players. So like I see a 5'6" running back who's tearing it up, and I'm like, this guy's awesome. So
he was the return guy also for the Saints on the Carol Williams horse collar tackle in the playoffs.
Tackle in that playoff game.
I mean, go watch his Kansas State film, man. He was he was just electric. You just tell he just didn't get picked that high because I forget what round he went in, but
5'6".
He just didn't get picked high because
he's short. But you know what I love about him too? Well, about too is that people assume 5'6" you're small. No, he was short. He wasn't small.
Right.
He was a big guy.
He was pound for pound. He was arguably like one of the strongest players on the team. He was.
And that's what I've said this before. As this running back, that's what you have to be. Mm-hmm. Westbrook had that build. Mm-hmm. Sproles had that build. Boston Scott had that build.
Yeah. Yep.
Donnell Pumphrey did not have that.
I was just about to say that.
Lorenzo Booker, I don't know if you remember him, did not have that build. You can't be a skinny, small running back in the NFL. There are no good ones. Take my word for it.
Yeah,
not for very long, anyway.
Yeah, 100%. All right,
top three. This is why everyone.
This is where it's gonna get juicy, and this is where I might have to just calm my nerves.
Well, I think everybody's got to
You
have
need a timeout.
top three, just in different order.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, this
Yes.
is going to get dicey. So,
Chucks, just tell me who I should have.
We're all going to reveal the top three, okay, and then we'll discuss. Les, who is your 3, 2, and 1?
3 would be B West.
Mm-hmm.
2 would be Shady, and 1 would be Saquon. And it's ridiculous to put Saquon 1 in one respect, in that it's only 1 year, and I hate, I didn't use that kind of criterion in any of these evaluations we've done up to now. I didn't rank a guy real high off of 1 year, but I am in this.
What a year!
This is the year that
the exception.
I couldn't make myself put Shady ahead of him. As much as I like Shady, I think Shady even said he's a better running back than I was.
Better person too.
Shady was an incredible player, though. I mean, Shady was. If he'd have stayed here his whole career, he would be a real all-time, top of the totem pole type Eagle. Unfortunately, he didn't. And Saquon had the greatest year I've ever seen in my life, so I got to put Saquon.
Yep. PY. 3, 2, 1.
So Shady at 3, Westbrook at 2,
mm-hmm.
and Saquon at 1.
Okay. Brinks. 3, 2, 1.
3 Westbrook, 2 Shady, 1 Barkley. I think I have the same as Les.
As Les,
if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Okay.
I really can't make a case for B West being better than Shady. I'm sorry.
I'm about to.
I can't either.
He
tries all the time.
I mean, if we're including pass receiving, B West is the best pass receiving back the Eagles have ever had. But as a runner, he was very, very good. Shady was something else. I have to put Shady ahead of B West.
So I think a lot of people have your sentiment, Les, and I've debated this topic for years. If you go back to 2018, Tom and I had like a show where it was just us screaming at each other over this debate. And then I had another debate with Pete a couple years ago, right? So
Jesus Christ.
I understand, and I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because I know we're running into the hour. But this is the case I've always made for B West over LeSean McCoy, right? So you're talking about greatest Eagles, not greatest like over all-time players, right? Just what their stints were as an Eagle and how you see them. If you look, people always point out, LeSean McCoy is the leading rusher in franchise history. Brian Westbrook is the leading yards from scrimmage leader in franchise history. He has the most yards from scrimmage if you tally in running and receiving. And receiving is absolutely part of being a running back. Like it's 100% part of being a running back. Your versatility and being able to do both is part of what gets you on the field. And pass protection we alluded with Deuce Staley, him mentoring Westbrook. B West was arguably the best pass protecting running back in the league behind LaDainian Tomlinson for several years. So there's that one. 2, you look at their peak seasons, right? Everyone points to LeSean McCoy and that 2013 season where he led the league in rushing. People forget because the Eagles weren't good that year. In 2007, B West led the league in yards from scrimmage with 2,100 something. I forget the exact number. Yeah. But he was right. Like there was a time in 2006 2007 when B West actually finally got the nod from Indy to be the focal point of the offense. He was elite right there with LaDainian Tomlinson. Like he was. B West, he was elite. If you talk about skill sets, right? B West was, LeSean McCoy was the more dazzling runner, the more gifted physical runner. Like, right, he puts on highlight reel runs and is as elusive, arguably the most elusive running back we've seen since Barry Sanders, right? But B West's vision was just elite. People forget that. LeSean McCoy, one of the reasons why he got into it with Chip Kelly is because LeSean McCoy often would freelance.
Oh yeah, he liked to bounce. He would jump cut, whatever the play was.
Exactly. B West's vision was elite. So even though he didn't have that type of razzle dazzle that LeSean had, B West was still so elusive, but he was able to always set up his blockers so well. And you want a testament to that, B West was considered the best screen running back in the game for years. He was so amazing at that.
Yep.
And the last thing I'll say is, if you talk about greatness, and we're talking about Saquon Barkley, and the reason why we haven't won despite the 1 year is because of his he's having the greatest running back season we've ever seen, arguably. His greatness in the playoffs, he wins a Super Bowl, right? When you talk about greatness, we talk about moments. B West has several moments in the postseason that are unforgettable. LeSean McCoy does not. And people want to argue that, yeah, but LeSean McCoy only played in like two postseason games, 2 or 3, playoff games. Okay, but you can't discredit B West, because when he was actually in the playoffs, he actually made numerous memorable performances, memorable plays. So, like, that is part of the lore and the part of the legacy that B West has. So, even though I understand why a lot of people, will always automatically assume LeSean McCoy, and if you're talking about just career as a whole, LeSean McCoy has the Hall of Fame career because he was able to stay healthy longer. B West had the injury concerns and the concussions toward the end of the career that cut his career short. So 100%, LeSean McCoy has the Hall of Fame career where B West just doesn't. But if we're talking about just Eagles greats, the greatest Eagles running backs, after Saquon Barkley, or before Saquon Barkley ever came foot, to me, it's 100%. It's 100% Brian Westbrook. I
understand your point. I don't agree, but I understand your point.
Yeah. So a lot of people side with you, Les, and I get it. I'll say this: it's very, very close. It's very
well.
Very
I would say B West and Marshall Faulk are the two best pass catching backs I ever saw, and I learned something very important watching B West and talking to people about him. I always thought when you talk about a running back catching passes or being a good pass receiver, you're just talking about him having, good hands. But that's not the thing about B West. Was he ran routes like a pass receiver. You could put him out in the slot or out wide even, and he would run the route with the speed and the detail and the deceptiveness and the getting in and out of the cut the way an elite pass receiver would do it, which is not something you're not generally when you talk about a guy being a good receiving back, you're just talking about him catching the ball. He runs out there and somebody throws him the ball. And it wasn't like that with B West. He was a pass receiving weapon as good as any in the league. There's no doubt about that to me.
Yeah, Les, you touch on something I always I always hammer home when talking about running back evaluation. Like, people always talk about, like you said, a running back being a good receiver. If I'm watching a player and studying a running back, and they're just catching like balls in the flat or dump offs, that you don't get points for that. Like, that doesn't tell me anything.
Catching it's better than dropping it, which is better dropping it,
but you're also I'm not gonna say, oh, you're a great receiver just because you're catching balls out of the backfield. You have to be able to be used as an actual receiver out of the backfield or flex out wide. That's when you enter a realm of, okay, you are entering a territory where I can evaluate you as a receiver, like as a great receiver, as a running back. You know what I mean? Like, so it is really like the nuance of that. And you're 100% right. Like, B West was like, it was Marshall Faulk and it was B West. Like, I remember early on, that was the comparisons. Like, people were saying like B West is like the light version of Marshall Faulk because the Eagles use them. And credit to Andy Reid having the foresight because Les, like, outside of Marshall Faulk, teams weren't doing that back in the 2000s.
Right.
They weren't using running backs that way, but Andy Reid had the foresight of seeing B West's skill set and saying, I'm going to use you this way because you can do so many things. And we haven't even touched on B West's ability as a returner. I mean, electric returner. So, I'm always going to stand for B West. I think a lot of people also, like, because he played in 2000s, like, people sometimes are too young to remember just how
Wow.
he was in
That's
his
a
peak.
sobering thought. Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you one more thing about B. Westchucks, and you probably know this, but in his heart of hearts, B. West is one of those guys who wanted to be a basketball player. He was a great basketball player. He played at DeMatha,
Yep.
which was at that time, and even back when I was young, like playing, at the highest level of high school basketball.
Yeah.
And he had a bad knee injury at DeMatha and didn't get the Division I basketball props that he was looking for. Ended up at Villanova as a football player, and he felt like he would have been, Muggsy Bogues or somebody like that had he been able to play basketball the way he meant to.
100%. I've never had the privilege, but if I, God willing, ever do have the privilege to interview Brian Westbrook one-on-one, that is one of the things I always wanted to ask him, like his basketball days in high school. Because that injury really just it kind of just took that out of realm of possibility for him, but he was able to get on to Villanova and play football. So, I think it worked out for the best. It's kind of the opposite of not the exact opposite, but similar. When you think about like Allen Iverson, how he wanted to play football, but because of what happened at the bowling alley, it just that was never.
Good point. Very good point.
But then he went basketball route, and he became one of the greats. So, 100%. And so
we all have Saquon 1.
We all have Saquon 1.
Yeah.
We all have Saquon 1.
There's just nothing else you can say. Now, maybe 10 years from now, if Saquon doesn't do it again, maybe we'll look back at this and say we got carried away in the moment or something. But right now, there's
what a moment to be carried away by, though.
Yeah.
In my good conscience, I can't put Saquon.
Right. How do you overlook that? I mean, that's
talent-wise, and just have, in order to overtake two Eagles greats in Brian Westbrook and LeSean McCoy, your single season would have to have been historic, and Saquon's was historic.
Yeah. So, he's going to do it again. He's going to do it again this year.
I really hope so. I really, really, really hope so.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, SJM does have one question to dispute our thinking. He says, in a non-argumentative manner, if the panel has Barkley unanimous at 1, shouldn't Terrell Owens been in that?
Yeah, that's a good.
SJM, that's interesting.
I can answer that question. It's a good point, but we did have subsequent experience with Terrell Owens. I'm saying what I just said about, all we have is this 1 year. With Terrell Owens, we did have more than that. And he pretty much, in my view, took himself out of that spot with what he did. And, I know a lot of people don't agree, and maybe I'm being unfair, but that's the way I feel. The guy tore the team apart. It really, really messed himself up. Had a lot to do with diminishing Donovan McNabb to teammates in the locker room, and that's not nothing to me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It comes to on the field, like we said last week, off the field character comes into play. For me, at least, it comes into play. I mean, it's part of the reason. Also, I didn't mention it before, but part of the reason why I also have B. West over McCoy. But with
no champagne bottles with Westbrook.
We had the three of us did have T.O.
Yeah, I was the only one who did.
He was the only one, but to Les's point, there was a clear reason as to why he was lower. But also, Les did point out, if you're talking just talent wise, like T.O., I think you said T.O. would be number 1 or 2.
Oh yeah, T.O. and Saquon and maybe Mike Vick are probably the 3 greatest athletes I ever saw covering the Eagles.
That's a good take. Yeah, I can see that. I can absolutely see that. So SGM, hopefully that does answer your point. And then Tom Arnone, he had to chime in because homage back to our own debate. But we agree. Tom Arnone says Saquon number 1 easy. So we agree on that. But of course, we once again disagree. He says Shady 2. We will, Tom, we will always have that
Yeah.
Shady versus Westbrook debate. That will always.
Brian Westbrook is a fine wine, while Shady McCoy is a champagne bottle, I believe.
But like,
You,
I just don't understand. I don't understand how you can watch them both run the football. And LeSean McCoy, I just don't understand how you can come to that conclusion.
It's easy. You just come to the
just
correct
said-
conclusion, and then
I
you
just
do
said-
what we just did.
because I'll say that the untrained eye will fall for McCoy because he's electric and full of highlight reel plays, while the trained eye will see Brian Westbrook and say, "Okay,
Yeah,
I see."
I don't know. I mean, you were
Westbrook was
talking about
McCaffrey before McCaffrey, like that.
you mentioned Chuck's the why Chip Kelly didn't like McCoy. I'll say this: that second year of the Chip era, defenses started catching up with his offense.
Yeah.
And the problem was Chip wanted Shady to run where he was supposed to, but there was no hole there often.
He just kept cutting.
He made one. He found one over there, and that's you don't see many people do that.
Mm-hmm. I think
Chip didn't value it, but Chip was wrong.
Yeah. It was more so like McCoy. To put it this way, when you have that physical talent and ability that McCoy had, like I totally understand the freelancing, because more often than not you can get away with it. It's like the whole
He was
Patrick
like a home run hitter. He
the
would
whole
strike
Patrick
out
Mahomes thing.
sometimes.
Like Mahomes, he goes against a lot of the rules as a quarterback. Like all of the stuff they teach you, he goes against it. But it's because he can. Like, so if you can, then obviously, yeah, sure. I think it's just hammering home my point that, yeah, because of that, McCoy was a more gifted physical runner, but that doesn't take away the fact that B West had better vision, and B West was able to maximize certain things, whereas McCoy just wasn't. And
I think you give the pass receiving. To me, if you're ranking running backs, you heard what I said about B West as a pass receiver, but we're not ranking pass receivers here,
But like Chuck said, it's just as important. Like, it's a big part of what you're asking the running back to do.
Just as important, really.
For me, I think I've said this, and not this is a thing where it comes getting to philosophy where not everyone will see it as I do, but when you're a running back, the more you do, the more valuable you are. So if you are a receiving back, if you're a dual threat, you can catch a ball out of the backfield or run routes. If you offer pass protection, if you can return kicks or punts, that only adds to you as a running back. Those still fall under the position of a running back. I think other people just say, okay, running back, that just means you're running. I don't see that. Running back means this is your position, but what can you do as a running back? So that's how I view the position, define the position. Not everyone does, so I don't blame them for that. But that's the root of why I say that's just more value. And to add to this, I did want to get some other. I wanted to get some insight into this from people that were actually knew more than I did. I did ask Jason Avant and Quentin Michael one time because they both played with both of them. I both asked them which one was the better player. Both of them agreed that B West was better than Shady. So
how much would Quentin Michael have played with Shady?
I think Quentin Michael was it wasn't a ton, but Quentin Michael was there. I think toward the end. I think that's when Michael was wearing 46. I remember Quentin Michael was wearing number 46 at one point before he switched to 27. So yeah. So it's flavor. It's like what you value and what you're looking at. I don't mind it being close and people saying it's a toss up. I think it is a toss up. What annoys me is when people think it's absolutely no question McCoy, because I think you're undervaluing Brian Westbrook as a running back if you're just saying it's no question McCoy. And the conversation context is Eagles running back. It's not who is the greater all-time running back, because health comes into play, and B West wasn't able to stay healthy. That's why his career was cut short. So that goes against him. But yeah, that's my spiel. That's probably the third or fourth time I've said that on this on A2D radio. So
Yeah.
I've had a lot of
If
practice.
he could have had 2 or 3 more years like that 2007 season, he would
Oh,
be
my
in the Football Hall of Fame.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, it's
He tore his triceps in 2003, and that was
the end of
devastating
that
to the
playoff run.
offense.
Yeah, that was the Todd Pinkston playoff year, but
Yeah, Rick, that was
I
Ricky
always
Manning
say they
Jr.'s,
weren't going to win the Super Bowl without Brian Westbrook anyway.
Yeah.
You know, he was their offense, and
Oh, my
that
God.
He
was
got
just-
hurt in like the 16th
Washington.
week or something, right?
Jeremiah Trotter tore
Yep.
B. West's tricep. It was a game late in the season at FedEx. I remember driving back home with Paul Domowitch talking about it that night. It was right around Christmas. Yeah, I remember that really, really well.
That broke my heart. That broke my
Was a
heart.
killer.
It was such a killer. SJM does make one more point before we get out of here. He doesn't disagree about my Westbrook sentiment. You will have a contingency.
Well, yeah, but not since 2000.
Yeah, he'll just tell you Wilbert Montgomery was.
Of course he was. Yes. We're doing this since 2000.
Yeah, and he does say he knows.
Steve Van Buren, also very, very good.
Oh yeah, Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer, and he does want to also give a shout out to Ricky Waters. Ricky Waters was so talented too. Yeah, absolutely. Well, gentlemen, great discussion. I actually was able to stay sane and calm throughout the really good discussion. Next week we will see what our topic is. I still have a few fun topics in mind for the next few weeks before we get to training camp. So I'll let you guys know, and all the viewers, we are still going to try to keep these fun discussions available for you as we go along in this off season. But thank you to our sponsor.
We're still doing a league show, right? A league prediction show.
Oh yeah, that's
last
August.
year.
Yeah, in August. Yeah,
Nice.
That's always fun. Thank you to our sponsor, Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel. Make sure you mention A2D for 10% off your in-store purchase. For myself, for Brinks, for Les, and PY, who I'm assuming got disconnected.
He went to sell a car, I think.
Yeah, it's probably sell a car, right? For all of us at A2D, we thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Peace out, guys.
Thanks, everybody.